Every time we get the opportunity to have a bit of a smile or a laugh on this program, we'll take it and we'll run with it. We squeeze music into the airwaves here on 6PR. Plus, we connect and we do smile. I love it. It's great. But sometimes you just don't feel like it. Sometimes you get worried about people. For example, Despine, who is not with us at the moment. She's unwell, and I'm hoping that she recovers as quickly as possible. But isn't it important to even consider why? Even when we don't feel like smiling, like right now, we still need to have some sort of a positive attention to life. And I think that it's really appropriate that we talk to Merv Neal. Merv Neal is I love talking to Merv because, love the Australia. It's just gold. The yoga element, it's just fantastic. And Merv, fair dinkum, mate, we really do need to smile all the time, but sometimes it's really hard.
Oh, Todd, look, always good to chat to you. You always put a smile on my face regardless of the situation. And just when I was listening to your intro there and you said Despine is not with us, I know Despine, and I'm going, oh my God, she's died. And then when you said, she's not well, I'm going, oh, thank goodness for that. And the reason I mention that is I lost my mother-in-law last month, and I don't mean in a supermarket, I mean she has passed. So anything where our close colleagues or our loved ones are taken away from us quickly really is a shock to the system. And, what you've got to do to recover from that quickly can be challenging.
But it is funny, isn't it? We keep hearing that laughter is the healer. And one of my objectives last night was to make Despine smile because I knew that she was listening to the show from the hospital bed. And yet I thought about it afterwards. I thought, what an obviously weird thing to say. Get someone to smile, get someone to have a positive thought when they're going through the recovery. But it is still important to try and find that element in there somewhere without being disrespectful of the circumstances, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. My brother had a knee replacement. He was in hospital recently, and I visited him one day, and he was in so much pain. Like, this is my big brother who's as tough as nails. He's a farmer, and he's in so much pain that he was crying. I'm going, how can I help this situation? Oh, we'll have a laugh. And I'm going, no, that's not right. You don't just burst out laughing because that would have made the situation worse. So I grabbed his little cup that he was drinking from, and I pretended to put some powder into it, and I pretended to stir it. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm making some concrete because you need to harden up. Now, you cannot say that to a normal person, but this is black humour, and said to my brother at the time, we just killed ourselves laughing. So the element of humour or to see things in a different way, even if it's a little bit black, is really appropriate under the circumstance.
Yeah. See, it's funny because this is, we've just had Men's Health Week, et cetera, and toughen up, princess, and all that stuff. That's not discussed anymore. The fact that you've got the ability to say that to a relative and get him smiling is a positive. But the term black humour, I guess it's something that I sort of understand, but I don't. It's the ability to smile or laugh out loud at something that is, I guess, politically or potentially dangerous. It shouldn't be smiling. It's like when you're at school, Merv, and you remember when you were a kid at school and the teacher would say, now, whatever you do, don't laugh during something or other. And you'd start giggling for no reason at all. That's that nervous energy. Is black humour something that goes along the lines of nervous energy and laughter?
It's a stress release, Todd.
Aha.
So I'm ex-military. I've worked with a lot of frontline respondents, and you get into such a stressful situation that you go, what can possibly break this cycle? And they used an element of humour. Now, it's black because people from the outside looking in going, that's appropriate. But for the people who are in the moment, it is absolutely appropriate. And it's just stories. And someone will say something at a particular time and it just cracks the ice. Like to my brother, harden up. It was a joke. And he knew it was a joke, but it just cracked that cycle of negativity and that pain that he was experiencing. After we laughed out loud for about 30 seconds, I said, how's the pain? And he said, what? I'm going, gotcha.
Wow.
So if if we're in some sort of emotional or physical pain, if we can just laugh for 30 seconds, now we can do a laughter exercise. I'm the expert on that. I've been doing that for 20 years. Or we can add an element of humour. And humour merely breaks the cycle, even if it just puts a smile on someone's face, and that shifts the mind.
See, I've often heard that what you think about is where you put your energy. So while he was worried about the pain in his leg and he was so motivated towards that element of his body, what you gave him is something else to think about. You gave him the fact that you were in the room, you've created this element of sort of, dark humor, which he ran with, laughed at, and then forgot about the pain. You often hear the saying that it only hurts when I laugh. Now, that in itself is something that's such an interesting. I mean, if you've been, given a whack in the guts, it hurts when you laugh. If you've been given a whack in the face, it hurts when you laugh. But sometimes it does hurt when you laugh, but it's sort of still a good thing.
Yeah, it's about breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about before was a distraction, or what I call an interrupter. The other thing it's called, Todd, is a placebo. All right. So if we can do something in our body that shifts the thinking, that can be a placebo.
Right.
For those who aren't totally aware of what a placebo is, it's when you're given a pill that's not really a pill, but it has the same effect as a real pill. So it's the mind actually doing the healing. So if we can distract or stop that negative negative cycle that the mind has gotten into, like with my brother, all he could do was think about the pain, which made the pain worse.
Sure.
And all of a sudden I interrupted and distracted and gave him some endorphins, which are our body's natural painkillers. And all of a sudden, we had an instant reset where we could start thinking more clearly about, okay, how are we going to approach this situation?
We're talking to Merv Neal from Laughter Yoga Australia. And if you want to get in touch with him, I'll give you some details in just a little while. The psychology of laughter is so important because we are aware, as you mentioned, the endorphins kick in, which is our natural pain relief. You've got the ability to distract someone, to get someone to think about something else. It's quite an interesting mix and match. But again, I find so interesting. Today I contacted Despone and I said, how are you going? She said, I found time to smile. And I thought, what an interesting thing to say. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, Merv, because in amongst everything, when we always fear the worst, when we go into an emergency physical situation, you're taken by ambulance somewhere or rushed to hospital or you get hit by something and it hurts, we instantly think the worst. And isn't it nice, using the power of a good smile, to be able to sort of get underneath that radar and distract someone so as we're not encouraged to think the worst. All of a sudden, there's some other option to consider.
You're talking about Men's Health Week, and when I work with men in particular, I first of all start by saying acknowledge the feeling. Acknowledge the feeling. Embody the feeling. Where does it actually hurt within you? And go there. All right? So don't try and ignore it or push it out or anything like that. Go there and actually acknowledge that it hurts in whatever way that it does, emotionally, mentally, physically, or whatever.
Yeah.
Then once we've done that, then we get out of there really, really quickly. All right. So I don't say don't go in the hole. I say, yes, it's a hole, but let's not make it any deeper with the negative thought cycle that we can go into. And that's when the distraction comes in. My method is humour or laughter. Other people have other methods. Then we turn it around, and the psychology, or what we call positive psychology, is right. What's the positive thought to balance out the negative thought?
Wow.
And that's when we really start to build a ladder and start to climb out of that hole that we find ourselves in.
We are talking to Merv Neal, and it's all about Laughter Yoga Australia. Merv's on the other side of Australia, but staying up late to discuss a few things with us here at 6PR, which I'm very grateful for. Merv, let's take a break because I know that you've got a brand spanking new little book, The Positive Psychology of Laughter and Humour, which is so appropriate to what we're talking about. Let's take a really quick break, mate, and I'll come straight back here on 6PR.
Good on you, Todd.
And so we're back. Merv Neal is our go-to guy. Normally when we chat, this is quite a serious conversation with Merv. Normally when we chat, it's about laughter, merriment and joy. And, of course, I started the conversation tonight with Merv by sort of saying sometimes it's hard to laugh. When you have a loved one or someone that you work with that's in hospital, it's sometimes tough to get across that barrier, but it's still there. And that term dark humour exists, as Merv said, that he made his brother have a really good laugh. because he needed it. And distraction is an important thing. You've got a book out, brand spanking new, The Positive Psychology of Laughter and Humour. Now, is it the sort of book that everybody can read, or is it for academia?
It's towards academia, and two of the co-authors, are a professor and a doctor, and the other co-author is myself.
Yeah.
So there's at least 7 chapters in there that have been written by high-level academics, and 3 chapters that's been written by a pracademic. Now, a pracademic is someone who I thought they were taking it out of me too, like the cement thing with my brother.
Yeah.
But it's actually a thing, Todd, that someone brings the practical side of things to academia. So this is called Citizen Science, and this is where I was invited to write 3 chapters on the practical applications of, in particular, laughter and humour, that they could then link back to how does it influence positive psychology. So I was the ring-in and got 3 chapters on it. And certainly my chapters are very relatable because I can't speak or act academia. You know, I failed high school, for goodness sake. But to be involved in such a significant book as this, which will be distributed into psychology courses and universities and libraries, hopefully around the world, has been an absolute privilege.
Wow. A privilege for you, mate, and also a real, feather in your cap to be invited to be a part of it. Can I ask you, and this is an abnormal question, but is there a difference between humour and laughter? Laughter is a physical act. Humour is something that we, I guess, find funny, and as a result, we laugh. But they're very different, aren't they, humour and laughter?
Yeah, and going back to the book, Todd, this is why this book is a game changer, because there's been a squillion books written on humour.
Yeah.
And humour is the ability to amuse or entertain ourselves, that we will find amusing or entertaining, that we may laugh about. We may have a sniggle, we may have a giggle, we may have a belly laugh, a guffaw. This book is all about laughter driving humour. And this is the first one of it. Yeah.
Okay, so you're coming at it from the laughing driving the humour rather than the humour, which is what I said. If you find something humorous, you laugh. But what you're doing is reversing it.
Exactly. And so far, the peer reviews of professors and doctors around the world has been amazing, because they said, a bit like you, they go, aha, we see what you've done there. Now, we haven't just come up with a theory or a philosophy. We've actually done research studies with this, and we have an app coming out where we can actually administer laughter to create that humour for a healing process, especially with people having mental health conditions like depression, anxiety and psychosis.
Mm. So what would I, the novice who loves humour and laughter, and that's one of the reasons we squeeze as much into the nighttime radio show along with music, what would I take from, for example, your chapters? What message were you trying to get across in the book, The Positive Psychology of Laughter and Humour? Because you're the practical guy. What would I get out of it? We're
trialling a concept called the Laughy. And Laughy stands for laugh intentionally every day for 1 minute. Now, you said before that, we don't have time to laugh or don't have time to smile. We do. We've got 1 minute, sure.
Yeah, we must
to be able to,
yeah.
to devote to this thing. So the concept of a laughy is where you laugh and record yourself into your mobile phone laughing for 1 minute. Now, I'll leave it. We created the Laughy Challenge. Go onto Facebook, just type in the Laughy Challenge. You'll see what we've done with it. And we've challenged everybody, just laugh for 1 minute every day. And one of the co-authors, Dr. Frida Ganot-Shapinski, actually come up with this idea, is 1 minute of laughter good for you to shift your mood every day? And the answer is absolutely. So I've been doing it since the 2nd of February 2022. You'll see all of my 1 minute laughies on the Laughy Challenge. And it's a game changer. It just keeps you up, especially when you're down. If you're going through a death of a loved one or your brother's in hospital or whatever it is, just 1 minute of laughter shifts your mood. Now, it doesn't fix everything. I'm not delusional, but it just helps you stop that negative cycle and find some humour in what can be a really dark place.
Right, and you've been doing this for ages. We've spoken about the laughy thing before, but the science behind it too is quite interesting, because if you think about it, the physical action of actually creating laughter from nothing, which sometimes is hard, and we've just discussed that earlier, I think it's important still to be able to find that minute in a day. Is it better? Well, I'm assuming it's better to do it in the morning because that sets you up for the day, or is it better to do it at night time when you're just about to have a bit of a kip?
The answer is any time. Now, you're right. First thing in the morning sets you up for the day, all right? But sometimes we've got some other things that distract us. We've got to get kids to school and get work things done and all that sort of stuff, get radio programs organised, all this sort of stuff. So we forget. But then when we do remember throughout the day, surely we can stop for just 1 minute and do it. Now, here's my point. It doesn't matter when you do it, but when you do it, you feel better. Now, I've sometimes done a laughy late at night and gone, oh, I forgot to do it. And all of a sudden I had this negative self-talk. Oh, why did you do that? You devote. Why didn't you do blah, blah, blah. I'm going, oh, for goodness sake, let's do my laughy, post it on the Facebook page, and I feel fantastic.
And other people following, I mean, it must be good for mind, body and spirit. Are other people sort of getting on board with the laughies? How many people have you recorded or are aware that you're doing it and have decided to latch on board as well?
What's interesting is if you go on the Laughy Challenge Facebook page, you'll see other people doing it. All right, so my challenge was, come on, everybody get on board and do it.
Right.
Did as many people get on board as I wanted to? No. But with any social media, Todd, and your radio program, there's this underlying group of people that don't necessarily get involved but still get benefits from it. And I'll sometimes get some likes and some posts and just some comments. I'll even get an email dropped in saying, oh, Merv, love your laughy. I'm going, I didn't even know you were watching.
Yeah.
So my commitment is to be committed to, well, everything that I do, but particularly to this 1 minute of laughter per day to see what impact that it has on people who are actually doing it. And the next research study that we've got coming up, the app will be released in about 2 weeks' time. I'll come back another time, Todd, at your request and talk about the app once we've got it going, because we'll be able to gift it to people free of charge.
Yes.
But the main thing is to see if it works, and it does. So one of the research studies that I did, a group of people in an organisation, a business, laughed as a group for 1 minute every day. And the HR manager at the end said, I can not only see the laughy being good for people's mental health, but for team connection. So we've still got this thing,
wow.
COVID divided us. We've got to get back together and get connected as much as we possibly can. And 1 minute of laughter did it, and we've proved it scientifically. Now what we need to do is prove it medically. And once again, we've got the universities in the UK on board with their laboratory EEGs that we're going to strap to people's brains, etc., to make sure that what we're doing is medically sound as well as scientifically.
I got a huge smile on my face, and when I started this conversation, when I kicked in with our conversation, I was worried about Despina. I'm still worried. I'm still worried about where she is, and I wanted to come back to work as quickly as possible. But isn't it interesting to see that the furrowed brow is gone? And after our discussion, I'm thinking to myself, no, I want to find out about the app. I want to adopt the philosophy of the laughy. I want to go and see a little bit more. I want to find out a bit more. I'm still worried about Despina, but it's affected. The information that you have given me has affected my evening so differently. I'm still caring for Despina and everyone that's doing it crook at the moment and doing it really tough. I still care, but I'm also being able to hold my head up to say I care, but I'm okay myself. And if you need my help, I will be there for you, and I'll be in a better place. Isn't that a nice thought? Love that.
Well, you are the epitome of positive psychology. So underlying, there is still this concern. And I learned a little while ago, I thought this was profound. Do you know what the purpose of worry is, Todd?
No.
To worry. So stop it.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. That's gold.
Worry does not solve a thing. It just creates more worry. So stop worrying and take action. To take action, you've got to be in a positive mindset. So you said yourself, all of a sudden you were worrying, and the worry will keep coming up because it's a reminder of someone that you care for who's doing it tough. But guess who can help? You can help, but you've got to be at the right mindset to all of a sudden go, I tell you what, I can do this, and then take action. And that is the epitome of positive psychology. You've nailed it.
Bloody marvellous, Merv. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a long conversation, but I've got to say at the end of our conversation, smile on my face. I'm starting to dry the teeth, which is good. And I'm really looking forward to getting some more information down the track on the positive psychology of laughter and humour. I'll go and find the book and the app in a couple of weeks. We'll talk in about a month's time. Is that all right with you?
It's in the diary, Todd. You know that.
Yeah, good man. Merv Neil is just the best. He's always got that happening with his voice, which is always about physical laughter. And get involved if you possibly can. If you want to get more information, laughteryogaaustralia.org is where you can find the one and only Merv Neil. And Merv, let's have a bit of a chuckle before we bid you farewell. Thank you, Merv. Thank you. Thank you, Merv. Yeah.
Cheers, buddy.